Hello everyone, welcome to the Buzz the Prey Manga. Today we continue the latest Global Freeze chapter, rewritten and edited by me in English for a smooth reading experience. All visuals and story flow are personally edited to give you the best manga style storytelling. Support the original creator by checking the official manga. So let's dive right into the today's chapter.
Chapter 2458, Enhancing Overall Strength 1. As soon as Zhang Yi said that, everyone's eyes lit up at the same time. Deng Xintong and Bailey Chongqing, in particular, couldn't help but exchange a glance, their eyes brimming with excitement. After all these years, they finally gained Zhang Yi's approval and became his companions. Although they weren't family, they were at least closer to Zhang Yi than the others. They can at least cling to this powerful figure. Deng Xintong's current superpower index is only 23,000 points. His talent is indeed limited. Heaven has been fair to him, giving him the best family background, but it certainly won't make him perfect in terms of supernatural abilities. Otherwise, this person would be envied by the heavens. But Deng Xintong understood that supernatural talent was a matter of fate, and destiny was hard to change. But he can have good luck. What is fortune? It's a benefactor. Zhang Yi is his benefactor. Deng Xintong immediately declared, "Brother, just tell me what you need me to do. Even if it costs me my life, you can take it, as long as it makes me stronger and gives me the ability to contribute to Tianhai City." Bailey Chongqing excitedly asked, "Then do I also have a chance to advance to the Epsilon domain?" Zhang Yi glanced at the two men, nodded, and said, "If you're obedient, things will be easier. Don't worry, you don't need to die. The living are more useful. Bailey, you will soon be Epsilon." The core of supernatural talent lies in the amount of ether present. Creating an Epsilon is not difficult. Simply kill an Epsilon and transfer its essence to another person. Alternatively, by using special means, a large number of fragments of ether from other beings could be collected and infused into one person. The reason why there are so few Epsilons in the human world is because we suffered greatly due to the information gap when the apocalypse first arrived. Over the past billions of years, the surviving groups have devoured the majority, leaving them only a tiny bit. Over the years, Zhang Yi has hunted down a large number of alien races and has acquired a considerable amount of etheric energy. This energy was so abundant that it was overflowing for him, and he couldn't digest it in a short time. With those resources, creating about 10 more Epsilon-level Inhumans wouldn't be difficult at all. Upon receiving Zhang Yi's promise, Bailey Chongqing was so excited that his body trembled. After waiting for 5 years, has he finally been able to step into the realm of the extraordinary? Yang Xinxin smiled slightly and said to Zhang Yi, "I knew you wouldn't be idle. All that stuff you learned on the moon, is it finally going to come in handy?" Zhang Yi nodded. "That's right. I have fully mastered the meditation techniques of the Lunarians. Later, I will teach everyone the parts that are applicable to Earth humans." He paused, then looked at Bailey Chongqing and Deng Xintong. "Especially the two of you." Deng Xintong immediately straightened up, his face revealing undisguised excitement. "Can we also obtain that kind of power?" Zhang Yi smiled slightly. "Not only will you gain something, you will also undergo a complete transformation. My plan is to train a group of Inhumans at the Epsilon level within the next 3 months and rapidly improve their strength. You two will be the first batch of core samples." Bailey Chongqing and Deng Xintong exchanged a glance, their eyes flashing with excitement and awe. They knew all too well what the word Epsilon meant. It was the rank of a general capable of guarding a region. Of course, compared to someone like Zhang Yi, a power index of 10 or 20,000 points is nothing. But to ordinary people, they are gods. To this day, some of the world's smallest countries don't even have a single Epsilon. Zhang Yi raised his hand, and the blue light of the psionic projection transformed into a complex mental structure diagram in the air. This is not a simple increase in strength. Everyone who can break through to the level of Epsilon must understand the source of their power. Only by knowing not only what it is, but also why it is, and integrating all these knowledge, can one become truly powerful. I will use the power of my mind to guide your neural pathways, bringing your spiritual level closer to the edge of spiritual resonance. What you gain in the end will depend on your comprehension. The atmosphere in the living room became incredibly lively. Luke Heron's eyes sparkled with excitement. She turned her head slightly and whispered to Yang Xinshin, "Is brother going to build a super god army?" Yang Xinshin chuckled. "Yes, we can't let my brother rush into trouble every time. He's too tired and needs someone to share the burden with him." Uncle Yu and Liang Yu stood to the side, their expressions somewhat serious. As members of the fighting faction, they felt immense pressure. Zhang Yi has trained more epsilons, so they must not slack off and must avoid being surpassed. Zhang Yi overheard their conversation, but didn't say anything. He simply stood up and walked to the window. Snowflakes drifted down from the sky, reflecting off his dark combat uniform like sparkling stars. Tianhai City will become the core of the entire Huaxiu Kingdom. From today onwards, anyone with talent who has passed Xion's heart-questioning arrow test can participate in the training. I will personally teach you, sharing my insights into superpowers since becoming an inhuman. The arrow of inquiry is Yang Xinshin's ability. She can see through a person's true nature and obsessions. Nothing can be hidden from her. All those who are disloyal to Zhang Yi will fail her test. Therefore, those who can pass the test are all superhumans with a firm mind and pure will. If one is not loyal to Zhang Yi, even with talent, one can only work on the periphery and in a non-core role. Zhang Yi turned around, his gaze sharp as a knife. What I want is not quantity, but quality. Everyone must be able to become a key piece on the battlefield. Fatty Su looked up with a smile and teased, "Big Brother Lao, are you planning to open a sect at home?" Zhang Yi smiled faintly. "Sect? No. What I want to build is a human army for a new era. They will become a shield that can share the firepower for me in future wars." As he finished speaking, the light from the psionic projection spread once more. Maps of Tianhai City's districts appeared in the air, with dozens of new training nodes marked. This is an unprecedented mobilization. Zhang Yi began to systematically transfer his personal power to the entire city. Yang Xinshin watched quietly from the side, her eyes filled with a sense of infatuation and fascination. 5 years have passed. In those 5 years, she watched Zhang Yi grow step by step from a cautious and timid nobody who only wanted to survive in the chaotic world into the towering figure he is today. The sense of satisfaction that came with cultivating it made her heart race and her blood boil. She knew perfectly well that from this moment on, Tianhai City would no longer be just Zhang Yi's base. It is becoming the beginning of a new era for humankind. Chapter 2459, Enhancing Overall Strength 2. Zhang Yi sat in the main seat, with more than a dozen black, high-tech metal boxes in front of him. These boxes contained some of the resources he obtained from the Lunarian Kingdom, real things that could change the fate of those around him. He looked around at everyone and smiled slightly. "I called you all here today to give Tianhai's core team a comprehensive upgrade. The battles to come will not rely on me alone. If any link goes wrong, the entire Huaxiu Kingdom could be put on the defensive." After saying that, he raised his hand and waved it, and the metal boxes slid automatically to each person's front. These resources are so valuable that countries around the world are fighting tooth and nail for them, and they can quickly enhance the strength of superhumans. Zhang Yi didn't say something, especially to those around him who were considered superhumans, with very low levels of ability development. These resources have a greater impact. Su Pengzi and the others naturally took the box, and Deng Shintong and Bailey Chongqing quickly followed suit. Lu Karen opened the box first, and her eyes lit up immediately. This is an energy body with extremely high purity. She looked up, her expression one of shock. Even the Tsongyuan clan might not be able to refine energy crystals of this purity. Zhang Yi smiled and said, "This was given to me by the Lunarian Empire. It's the ether fragment essence that they extracted, which can be used directly to strengthen or even reshape the Inhuman's ability core. However, the absorption rate must be carefully controlled. It cannot exceed 1% at a time, otherwise, he said, circling his finger around his temple, your brain will crash. This is also why Zhang Yi didn't absorb all the power himself. Now, he often enters the sea of ether in his dreams. Beyond communicating with Ling, the main focus is on adapting to this power. The ether assimilates humanity. There is a movie called Lucy, which tells the story of how, after humans evolve at an extremely rapid pace, they gradually lose their emotions, their 5 senses, and eventually their sense of self. Similarly, if an alien absorbs ether fragments too quickly, they are prone to losing themselves and becoming a vessel for the ether. Zhang Yi didn't want to become stronger, but also become a monster without humanity. In fantasy novels, this seems to be called a heavenly puppet. Fatty Sue's eyes nearly popped out of his head as he looked at his share. Damn it. Can't you give me a little more of this stuff? I've never done anything good in my life. I just want to live a couple more years. Zhang Yi couldn't help but laugh. With your build, it's already a miracle you can digest this little bit. But don't worry, I'll personally guide you on how to use it. Just don't do anything stupid and you won't die. Hua Hua lay on the sofa, her tail wagging back and forth, her eyes sparkling as she looked at the energy box on the table. It let out a meow, and glistening saliva even dripped from the corner of its mouth. Its wild instincts made it want to swallow it whole. Zhang Yi reached out and flicked its forehead. Don't eat random things. Just lick it a couple of times when you have nothing to do. This stuff needs to be digested slowly. Hua Hua meowed pitifully, then turned around and lay on the sofa armrest, pretending to be dead. Li Yongyang looked at Zhang Yi quietly, seemingly hesitating about something. Zhang Yi saw through her thoughts, smiled gently, and took out a transparent glass bottle from his pocket. A soft ray of light floated in the bottle, like flowing moonlight, serene and sacred. I saved this for you specially. The pure etheric source, also known as the spirit of ritual. Li Yongyang was stunned for a moment, her eyes flashing with shock and unease. Me? Can I use something like this? It's too precious. Zhang Yi shook his head slightly. What's precious isn't material things but people. Now that you've joined our team, you should do your part. He looked at Fatty Sue and said meaningfully, be nice to him, this guy doesn't have any bad intentions. If possible, when you're cuckolding him, do it behind everyone's back. Sometimes hiding the truth is a kind of kindness. Fatty Sue was initially quite grateful to Zhang Yi, but upon hearing these words, he immediately became displeased. No, prison guard. If you say that, I have to argue with you. Why should I be the one wearing a green hat? Zhang Yi sighed, patted Fatty Sue on the shoulder, and said to him seriously, you should know your place. You're not a handsome and talented guy like me. Fatty Sue retorted, sticking his neck out, but I'm capable. Ability. Zhang Yi sneered. Taking medicine counts too? How can the matter of anime/manga not be taken into account? The two bickered every day, and everyone was used to it. Li Yongyang bit her lip and solemnly accepted the radiant spirit of origin. I will not let you down. Zhang Yi nodded, his gaze sweeping over the crowd. You are all the people I trust the most. From today onwards, focus on your cultivation. I will personally guide you on your path and ensure that no one encounters any problems during your advancement. 3 days later, inside the training hall of Tianhai Fortress, more than 200 people gathered in a grand manner, looking up at Zhang Yi on the podium in the tiered hall. The entire huge hall was filled with Zhang Yi's elite troops. They were all gifted individuals selected through Yang Xinxin's heart-questioning arrow, and they were also the most loyal group of people in Tianhai City. This includes, but is not limited to, the core members around Zhang Yi, such as Fatty Sue and Uncle Yu, as well as Deng Shintong, Bailey Chongqing, the entire Shadow Squad, and the newly introduced superhumans with extremely high loyalty. For Zhang Yi, they were all familiar faces. For example, Xiao Honglian, Zhuge Qingting, Lu Dehai, Xing Tian, and others have been quietly doing defense work in Tianhai City for many years. At this moment, everyone held their breath and focused. On the training platform, Zhang Yi, dressed in a black and gold combat uniform, stood calmly, his voice clear and powerful, echoing throughout the hall. Today, I will teach you how to master the true power within yourselves. He slowly stretched out his hand, and a black energy bloomed at his fingertips, transforming into a three-dimensional projection of flowing stars. Superpowers, in essence, do not come from the physical body, but from the mind. Meditation is a bridge connecting the mind with the etheric world. Every grain of dust in the universe is created by the power of ether. They are products of nothingness, the result of the nothingness of ether, conceptualization. After awakening the power of the ether fragments, one will generate a superpower that can influence the material world more strongly and effectively than that of ordinary people. What you need to do is feel the presence of the ether and resonate with it with your spirit. When your consciousness is strong enough, you can rewrite the rules of this part of the universe. That is the essence of superpowers. The audience below the stage all had their eyes shining brightly. While recording the video, Xiao Honglian, a former subordinate, was constantly taking notes with her pen and paper. Zhang Yi's lectures are invaluable to all superhumans around the world, and she will cherish this opportunity to become stronger. Chapter 2460, Enhancing Overall Strength 3. Xing Tian, Xing Weinan, clenched his fists, exuding an aura of high morale. He stood ramrod straight, trying to absorb every word Zhang Yi said. Zhang Yi's high school grades were not ideal, and he only attended an ordinary university. Therefore, when he lectures, he tries to explain things in great detail so that anyone who is not mentally challenged can understand. This kind of foolproof teaching can avoid situations like, is there really someone so stupid that they can't learn calculus? Lu Dehai, Zhuge Qingting, and Wu Di, Xuemiao Yihi, Deng Shintong, Bailey Chongqing, and others from the former Heavenly God squad all held their breath, afraid of missing a single word. Even Fatty Su sat with Li Yangyang and didn't say anything like, although I don't understand, Lauda seems very powerful. Zhang Yi continued, meditation is about temporarily forgetting everything outside and feeling your inner self. This thing sounds mysterious, but it's actually not difficult at all. After you awaken your superpower, as long as you close your eyes and feel carefully, you can discover this special power within your body. In the past, we didn't know what it was, let alone how to improve it or master it. We could only grope blindly with our eyes closed, which is why many people took the wrong path. He tapped the blackboard and wrote down terms like ether, superpower, and meditation, then earnestly addressed the students below. What I'm teaching you now is how to not only know what, but also why, to integrate knowledge and to apply it to other situations. Once you understand the principles behind your abilities, you'll know how to improve them and which direction to take. You won't be wasting your time. The crowd below nodded silently, while on the podium, Hua Hua lay quietly, like a long cat stick. As Zhang Yi's battle pet, it enjoys a VIP seat. Zhang Yi often shares this knowledge with it, mainly when he's thinking and whispering to it. Therefore, among the people around Zhang Yi, Hua Hua's growth rate is also very fast. Meditation is the ability to enhance one's supernatural abilities and resonate with matter in the universe. You need to find a substance that can resonate with you. Ice attribute users can resonate with ice and snow, while fire attribute users can resonate with flammable and explosive substances such as flames, gasoline, and magma. At this point, among the students below, Xia Honglian frowned slightly, revealing a puzzled expression. She raised her hand straight and proper. Seeing this, Zhang Yi pointed at her with his pointer and asked, Xiao Honglian, what's your question? Xiao Honglian stood up, looking puzzled, and asked, Teacher, I didn't understand this part. In the past, when we used our supernatural abilities, we would also consider the environment. Is the meditation method you mentioned adapting to local conditions? Others nodded silently, looking at Zhang Yi and waiting for an explanation. Zhang Yi smiled with a profound look in his eyes. This is different. To give an example, let's take arson as another example. Xia Honglian, when you encounter a pile of firewood, you will use your superpower to ignite it and create a more powerful flame. This is how you currently use your superpower. Knowing what it is, but not why it is so. And if it were me, What would I do? I will first try to understand why firewood can burn and how it burns. What temperature is needed to reach its ignition point. Then, using my superpower, I brought it to the point of burning just right. He spread his hands and glanced at the faces of the crowd. Can you understand the difference between these two? Deng Shintong was the first to raise his hand and answer. I know. It's about controlling power. Once you understand the attributes and working principles of your superpower, you can maximize its efficiency. This will greatly improve the efficiency of your ability usage and enhance your combat power. Zhang Yi was very satisfied with Deng Shintong's answer and nodded. That's right. That's exactly what I mean. This is merely a method to improve efficiency during the use of superpowers. Moreover, its effect is even stronger during cultivation. He pointed to his brain. Feel the ether. Understand the ether. When you can understand the nature of the power you possess, actively attract the power in the material world that resonates with your frequency. You will then become powerful. At this point, Zhang Yi gave another example. Of course, some people with special abilities do not guide energy through meditation, but rather mimic the universe's absorption laws by devouring it. This kind of existence is quite enjoyable. There's no need for complicated meditation and contemplation. You can acquire power purely through innate talent. He smiled and pointed to Hua, who was lying on the podium like a cat. For example, this. Following his gaze, everyone saw the tabby cat lying lazily on the podium, its two paws holding a lunar energy crystal, its pink tongue with barbs constantly licking it, and its tail twitching back and forth. It can absorb life energy directly by devouring living beings and turn it into its own power. Don't let its cute appearance fool you. If it were to fight seriously, an ordinary epsilon would be no match for it. The crowd burst into laughter, but the laughter was filled with awe. Zhang Yi continued, if you can understand that everything in the material world is a combination of forces, then this will be very clear. Unfortunately, the vast majority of humans do not have the digestive system to break down steel, soil, and plant and animal matter into raw energy. Sheep eat grass, wolves eat sheep, and even the most delicate grass needs to draw nutrients from the soil. We can't eat soil directly, but once we understand the principles of this food chain, we can better balance the soil, grass, sheep, and wolves, thus maximizing our own benefits. Zhang Yi's expression turned serious, and his voice lowered again. Remember, superpowers are not a talent, but a choice. You must choose to experience the entire material world, choose to break through limits, and choose to be fearless. In the days to come, each of you must undergo a reconstruction of your soul. Zhang Yi has already distributed the improved version of the lunar meditation method without reservation. This thing has a very high barrier to entry. In reality, most people who obtain it cannot understand it. That's why his personal guidance is necessary. By teaching others, Zhang Yi can also enhance his own understanding of meditation. He slowly closed his eyes. Special ability Ether, the power of thought, what humans call the power of the mind. Using the mind to connect with the entire material world, energy that resonates with your frequency. This is the initial stage. As you become more and more powerful, you'll be able to generate more matter and energy at the same frequency. After all kinds of energy and superpowers in the material world will eventually turn into the same thing at the final point.
Alright, that's it for today's chapter. Tell me in the comments which part you enjoyed the most. If you love manga style stories, don't forget to like the video and subscribe the Post-apocalyptic Manga. See you in the next chapter with more surprises. Thank you.